Guess what? We made it through another week. We're back again on Motorin with the Doc. So let's push in the clutch, slip it in gear, and we'll motor on down the road. Had a good week this week. Went to a couple of car shows this weekend. Made it to over by the Colonnade. They had a St. Jude's cruise in. Had about 150 cars from what I understand. We made it up to Cleveland this weekend too. They always have 150, 200 cars up there. You know, everybody's always so nice. At any of these things, nobody has ever said, no, I don't want you filming my car, and everybody's just so friendly. And like I say, they want to tell you the story behind their car, because most of the time the car is pretty nice, but the story behind the car is a lot of times better than the car. So we're going to kick it off this week. We've got a couple of guests over here. We've got the winner this week of the $25 AutoZone gift certificate. It's a young man. I have just really gotten lucky with the first two winners. I mean, the first one was a woman, and you know, I don't have a problem with a woman working on cars. I think it's great. You know, if they can do a better job than me, they deserve the job more than I do. Not that they can have my job right now, because I really like my job, but you know. And then the young man we have right here, he's a high school student, and I think it's great that we can get a young man or a young person, not necessarily a young man, a young person who likes cars and you know, will carry on the tradition. You know, that's a good thing to do. Last week, you know, we had the tool of the week, and it was a drop light that was an LED drop light that I picked up at Harbor Freight for $20. That I'm telling you, I'm in love with the thing. It doesn't get hot, you know, and the light's really good, and it lasts a long time. You can charge it with your phone charger. Well, this week I brought something in, and it is a cooling system pressure tester that you can get from Harbor Freight also. I'm not plugging Harbor Freight. It's just I needed one of these one time, and for what I paid for this, it was less than $100 to get all this. And you can pressure test the cooling system to see if you got a radiator leaking, or a heater core, or a hose leaking, something such as that. And it comes with all the different attachments, not necessarily every one that you need, but it does have some universal adapters here, so you can use them on different things if one of these caps doesn't fit. Like I say, I had a radiator or something at home, and I've got a nice one at work, but you know, you don't necessarily need, if you're just a DIY guy, that would probably work just fine for you. You know, the ones I've got at work, just for the adapters, I probably paid $250 for that many adapters, because if I'm making money at it, I want it to be quality stuff. And like I say, when I'm at home working, well, it's a different story. I still do quality work, but I don't need to have all the expense of that sitting around the house, because I very rarely do it at the house anymore. So as I say, if you want to pick that up at Harbor Freight, if I'm not mistaken, I paid about $89 for that, and you can catch it not on sale and get their 20% coupon that they always have, and save some money on that. Like I say, if I don't have to have a super good tool, but the thing about the Snap-ons and the Matcos and the Mac tools and the Cornwell tools, if you're doing it all day long, it's the comfort that you pay for, because you grab one of the cheaper tools, and it's either may break or round off with you, or B, it just doesn't feel comfortable in your hand. If you're putting a whole lot of torque on it, it'll make your hand a little sore for doing that. So like I say, there's a time for the expensive and a time for the not so expensive. We're going to roll a tape here in just a second. These are two guys that I've met. One guy's name is Sam Bishop, and he's got just a beautiful little Chevy too. And me and a friend of mine went up to his place up towards Sail Creek and videotaped his car up there. And I meant to put his dog on it. It just dawned on me right then that I was supposed to put. They've got a dog named Chevy that has her own car. I think it's a she. She's got her own car, and they go, when we take Chevy to the car show with her, it's a little, looks about the size of a pedal car. She climbs up in it and rides around. It's got a roof on top, and she was just the cutest thing. So I'll try to get that on here in a few weeks. But this first couple's name's this first guy's name's Sam Bishop. And like I say, he's got a Chevy too. And the next guy, he has an absolutely beautiful 67 Dodge Coronet 440 with a monster motor in it. So let's roll this first one, and we'll go from there. Now, what's your name?
Sam Bishop.
Sam Bishop. What kind of car we got here?
That's a 1967 Nova Super Sport Resto Mod.
Now, what all has been done? What all has been done to this car to make it a Resto Mod?
Well, you know, the Resto Mod is sort of like, we want it to look original but drive like it's new. This car is it's really a nut and bolt restoration, completely from bumper to bumper. It has an LS motor in it, which obviously is fuel injected, and that just brings on a whole different performance issue. It has a 700R Ford transmission. You can get out, you know, used to we could drive, if we drove 60 miles an hour, we were turning 3. Now you can turn run 70 miles an hour and you're turning 50. All wheels have 4-wheel disc brakes all the way around. The suspension has been completely changed. It has a tubular A-arms, tubular suspension all the way through. It's basically a brand new car. It was born a super sport car. And you know, again, we did not restore this car, so I don't know what it started with. But now I would consider this car a number 9 show quality.
Sure.
Now you can pick any of them.
Oh yeah.
But all of the interior, it's original style interior, but it's all new. It has Dakota digital dash. It has a tilt wheel. It's power steering. Power disc brakes.
It's made to get out and drive around and enjoy the day.
Well, exactly. This car is just very enjoyable. It does great at shows, and we drive it to the shows. We don't drive it. It's not going to. I've owned Trailer Queens before.
Exactly.
And I'm not going to have a Trailer Queen.
Exactly.
If I can't drive it, I'm not going to have it. So we're driving and enjoying it. Like the Script Super Sport, we just completed that. We're doing different things. The coil covers, I'm changing the coil covers on the car to just, you know, you want to, my wife calls it sanitizing.
You make it yours, that's what you do.
You want it to be yours when you get done. So
you know, anybody can go down to buy a new car. When you buy an older car, you get to make it yours, you get to do what you want to with it. And like you say, just make it yours.
Exactly.
Put your signature on it, I guess is a good way.
You know, we were talking earlier, Steve, I'm not sure if this is a disease, an addiction, a hobby, or what it is, but it's just something that's in my blood.
Lynn Ziegler.
All right, and you have, at the show here,
66 Dodge Coronet convertible.
And what makes this car special?
Well, the Hemi motor is what makes it special.
That's the big thing right there.
Yes,
that you might say that's the elephant in the room if you
That is a good description, yeah.
But now that's not what it started at. When you got the car, what was it?
Well, I was looking for another car to build, and I wanted a convertible that I could put a Hemi in. And so I was at the Rod Run in the fall of '07, walking, looking at cars, and there was a beautiful $50,000 Mustang, and next to it was this plain-looking '66 Dodge Coronet, kind of squatted down in the back where the springs were getting old, showing 60,000 miles on it. Certicard showed that it was sold new in Alcoa, Tennessee. I got to looking at it, talking to the gentleman. His wife had brought it from North Georgia, drove it up there, had it for sale. Next to it was a $50,000 Camaro. And I noticed people would come by and they'd stop, look at the Mustang, pass the Coronet, look at the Camaro, and keep going. So anyway, I waited for him to take it home. They didn't sell it up there. And then I called him on Monday, made him a deal, and went and bought it. So I bought a little.
And now what year was that?
That was '07.
Okay.
September. So it was a 273 two-barrel. Big C, column shift, blue, white top, blue interior, and just a good little drive. So then I set out to start getting the parts I needed.
And you had a pretty good idea what you were looking for, right?
I knew exactly what I wanted. So the first thing I had to have was a K-frame. These cars were built with a K-frame that, of course, cradles the engine and holds everything together. Has all the front suspension. And I bought a K-frame out of a junkyard, brought it home, built it on a set of sawhorses and a 3/4 sheet of plywood. Built every piece of it brand new. And then I bought a 727 transmission, Dana 60 rear end. So I'm collecting parts and building sub-assemblies as I go. I was still driving the little 273 on weekends. So I got to know him and talk to him, and he liked to tell stories about the Ram Chargers and all the good old days in Detroit.
Yeah.
And he knew Dan Mancini and all the different, people at Chrysler that were involved with actually designing the Hemi.
Yeah.
And I didn't know whether to believe him or not. One day he was asking me about a D-Ports Hemi head.
Yeah.
And asked me if I knew anything about him. I said no. And he said, well, open these bifold doors.
Yeah. In the closet.
In the closet. And there were aluminum cylinder heads stacked to the ceiling. So at that point in time, I chose to start believing, because he was the only person, believe me, within 100 miles I had it. So that's where I got my Hemi.
That's where it started.
Yeah. And then I went to Columbus, Ohio every year, and I bought parts for, the heads and the intake, and pieced it together and so forth. Got the car together in 2012, took it to Pigeon Forge in the spring. One top 25 up there 7 times, and one Ultimate 5 once.
And we're back. Those are 2 beautiful cars, I'm telling you, and the people that own them, they're as nice as they are, as you could be. Like I say, they're very approachable. They like to tell you the story about their car, and you're not going to run across any nicer cars. Tell us your name, young man.
Brandon Lowe.
Brandon Lowe. He is our latest winner of a $25 AutoZone gift certificate. He registered on Motorin with a Doc on Facebook. He went to the Facebook page. And the question last week was, in 1969, you could order a high-performance Camaro that was a Copo Camaro. What did the Copo stand for? And that is?
Central Office Production Order.
That's exactly right. And I think we had about 28 correct answers. Brandon was the third one. And as I say, I think it's great the way this has just kind of fallen into place. Our first winner was a woman, and the second one was a young man. This just goes to show you that it's just not us old guys that are into old cars. The kids and the women like them too. I interviewed a lady this weekend that has and you'll see it probably next week, I think it was a 53 Nash Metropolitan, little bitty tiny car, but it was a beautiful red car, and she was pleased as punch over this car. Her and her husband did it. She ran the lathe and I think made the door handles. So, they'll get in there and they'll do it too. And like I say, I've had a girl that their truck will be on next week. The daddy bought a truck for the son, and the son didn't want it, and so the daughter wound up getting it. So it's a nice little Ford truck. Well, tell us about yourself, Brandon. What you go to school?
You go to Ringgold.
Go to Ringgold. And what grade, or what, your senior year?
I'm senior this year.
He'll be graduating. And Brandon, I've known Brandon for a little while. His life's kind of paralleling what mine did. Brandon really stepped up last year. They had a concert for Veterans Day, I believe it was. And Tracy Wright, the band director there, sent out a thing. If you were in the band and were in the military and you still play, come play with us. So I felt so out of place, I'm telling you, because the other people that showed up, that was their career in the military, was playing in the band. They directed this. And me, well, I did my 4 years. I put my trumpet down and didn't pick it up for about 25 years, and then started playing in some shows down at the Colonnade. And, I'll play in an orchestra at church every once in a while. So to me, it was like, oh my gosh, and I walked in, and Brandon, he walked up, come here, you can sit by me. He made me feel just right at home. Wonderful kid, wonderful kid. Now, what else do you do? You work?
I work at a collision repair center.
So you're into cars.
I
am. What kind of cars well, tell about the vehicle you've got right now.
Right now, I've got a 1981 Z28 Camaro, and it's an original 350 car.
Yeah.
And it's a work in progress right now. I've got everything for it, but it's just a matter of putting it all together.
That's right.
Painting it.
And there's no better way to learn than just jumping right in. And I can tell you, I know how to do a lot of things, but the reason I know how to do a lot of things is because I've made a lot of mistakes over the years. If you're not willing to break something every once in a while to figure out, okay, this is not the way to do it, you probably shouldn't go into the mechanic business or the bodywork business or anything like that. So you've got the Camaro. Now, him and his dad this summer, a lot of y'all I'm sure have heard of the Power Tour. Well, he is a veteran of the Power Tour. He did the Hot Rod Power Tour this year. Tell us where it started and where y'all went and what y'all did.
It was an all-week event. It was 7 days, 7 cities, and it started in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and it went every day. You'd have a new venue, and it'd take at least 3 or 4 hours.
Sure.
To get there. And it's all back roads. There's hardly ever interstates because you want to see the view while you're on the tour.
And it's the middle of summer, and your car didn't have air conditioning.
Exactly.
Too, so.
We're in a 71 Camaro with a 454 big block, and it's hard enough keeping the engine cool.
That's right. It's like sitting behind the heater in the
You ain't
middle
got
of the
enough
summer.
time to keep yourself cool.
No. So y'all did that. And how many miles did y'all go total?
We came from Chattanooga, so we had to drive to Bowling Green and then back home from South Carolina when it ended. So it was, all in all, it was about 2,000 miles.
And that's a good week-long trip.
It is.
And they came through here. They stopped at Chattanooga State, and I think I heard 4,000 cars.
It was closer to 5,000.
If you wanted to see cars, all you had to do was pull up a chair and sit down.
Exactly.
They would drive right past you. And Brandon had said earlier that, when they were driving the back roads, that's what people do. They'd pull up in their front yard with a chair and just watch the parade go by. There's an old guy that down at Cambridge Square that's got a little Falcon station wagon that he's got his, and proudly displays his 2018 Hot Rod Power Tour sticker on the windshield. Yep. Now, what was the most interesting car you saw while you were out on the Power Tour?
Well, there's a few interesting ones. There's one of them. There's a guy named Troy Shields. He's from around I think Knoxville, Tennessee, and he had a '72 Chevelle with a LS2 in it, I think.
Yeah.
I know he'd been working on the swap for a little while, and he'd make some good progress on the car. And he got it finished right before Power Tour, and it was just pristine. I
can assure you, days and even hours before the Power Tour, people are thrashing to get these cars put back together. And I had the honor of helping his dad thrash on his car for a little bit. He'd change it over to fuel injection and had some wiring issues, and we straightened those out. And I believe y'all, other than after the tour was over, I think, were y'all on your way back, you had a flat?
No, it was actually on our way to Raleigh, North Carolina.
Yeah.
We were getting on the interstate, fixing to merge, and one of the feet off of a tractor trailer was laying in the road, and we couldn't get over.
No.
So only choice was to go right over that thing, and it ended up, we gave us a flat tire.
Sure.
The one thing that we did not bring on that trip was a spare tire.
Well, but y'all, somebody got y'all a tire and y'all made it on in, and still it was a good week, and that's some good father-son time right there. I'm, as I have said earlier in this show, if you got a kid that's interested in cars and you're a car guy, y'all are probably buddies for a long time. Y'all got something to talk about and something in common, and y'all aren't at each other's throat most of the time.
Yep.
Well, I want to thank you for coming. Hang on just a minute. We're going to show one more video here. We've got this past weekend when I went down to the Colonnade. There's some video I shot there. I did a walkthrough. So if your car was parked down there, if it's not on this week, it will probably be on next week on the walkthrough. It'll just be a walk by, but you can tell everybody, hey, my car's been on TV. So let's roll this next one. I did start out on Motorcycle Row right here, and there was a lot of bikes there. It was a biker friendly event, and one of my friends rides one of those bikes. I believe that was that Burgundy one right there. He enjoyed it. But you will see all kind of cars here. Somebody's got and I believe it's coming up, like a mid '80s Dodge Aero pickup or Plymouth Aero pickup truck right there. You know, I don't think I've seen one of those in probably 25 or 30 years. You know, that's just things you never see. A big old Suburban right there. Check that one out. And
Now,
then,
what's y'all's name?
Ronnie Cantrell.
And I'm his daughter, Amanda Cruz.
Okay. And what kind of truck do we have here?
We have a 1977 Ford F100 Ranger XLT.
And the XLT usually means that it's got a lot of stuff on it.
It is the more...
The deluxe.
Deluxe, yes.
Mhm.
The upper priced of them.
Now, how long have y'all had the truck?
Since 1988. 82, okay.
Yeah.
And then he fixed it up in 80,
Now,
92.
now, he fixed it up. Who was he fixing it up
He
for?
was fixing it up for his son, but his son wanted a Mustang, a straight shift Mustang, so he went and got him an LX Mustang.
Yeah, yeah.
So now it's my vehicle.
That's right.
It's my truck.
A girl with a truck.
And it's automatic.
There you go.
I can drive it.
Uh-huh.
It was a pretty good truck, you know,
Yeah.
it had never been painted.
Yeah.
Well, I built the motor myself, and
And what is it?
it's a 400.
Uh-huh.
And I took and just changed the cam, rock
Uh-huh.
arms, and intake, and headers. Just sort of made me a little house out of it.
Did you do the body work or who?
No, Johnny Bearden, Churrock, Georgia.
Uh-huh. And it's a black truck, but it is slick as a button. Now, you say he built it for your brother. Now, how long have you claimed the truck?
I have been going to car shows since I have been a baby.
Yes.
He's fixed 5 trucks up.
Yeah.
And he's sold all of them but this one.
Uh-huh.
So
And you wouldn't let him?
No. He's
See,
had offers, but I told
I
him
got a
he couldn't.
hobby. I build antique motors.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And everywhere she went,
Uh-huh.
she went with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, how far is the farthest y'all taking it?
Pigeon Forge.
Okay.
They have 100 shop.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got
We got truck of the year
in my
in
class.
his
Uh-huh.
class. They put him in classes
Yeah.
like they do here.
Uh-huh.
And he's won several trophies, best
Yeah.
paid.
And this kind of looks like Chevrolet Road right here. You know, they got some rat rod. I'm telling you, if you have an interest in any kind of car, new, old, whatever, it doesn't matter. Rat rod, shiny, you know, they don't care what you're bringing, just as long as you show up. And this was for
What's your name?
Jimmy Jarrett,
Jimmy Jarrett. And what do we got here?
a 1971 Trans Am 455 4-speed. Nice day show.
Oh, the HO? Okay. Now, how long have you had the car?
I bought it in early 2000.
You found it in a warehouse or something?
Yeah, actually, I found the car before then,
Uh-huh.
and I was restoring another one just like it, but it's a 72.
Uh-huh.
I'd actually never seen a blue car with a white stripe.
Uh-huh.
And I'd found the stripes, and I heard about this car in Alabama, and I was just going to go compare the stripes.
Yeah.
Well, this gentleman that I talked to said it belonged to his brother, but I could come compare the stripes, so that's what I did.
Uh-huh.
And then as years went by, I didn't think no more about it, so
Yeah.
I went to work in this place in Cave Springs.
Uh-huh.
This woman tell me her husband's got a blue car just like mine.
Yeah.
But it's a 4-speed. And I told her, I said, well, I don't know, one blue 4-speed, right? She said, that's my husband's car.
Really?
And then I said, well, talk to him about selling it to me. A couple of weeks went by. She come to work one day. She said, Jimmy, she said, he'll sell it to you, but this
Was he the second owner?
his actual owner.
He was the original.
He run the dealership, and he just never did sell it. He kept it for himself.
Uh-huh.
It had the odometer had 11,331 miles on it.
Really?
Now it's got 27,000 on it.
So you've not driven it a whole lot, but you've got it out and enjoyed
Maybe
it. so-
3 times this year I've had it.
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
Not from Rome, Georgia.
Okay. Did it pretty much look like this when you got it, or have you done?
Nothing has ever been done to it. The only thing, I took the original tires off, replaced them with those dry rods.
Sure, yeah. So it's original, other than,
Yep.
and you probably had to put another battery in it just because.
Well, I actually had the original battery when I got it till last year,
Yeah,
and it's AC Delco battery,
yeah.
and it just died on me.
Well, as y'all could tell, there was quite a few cars. As I say, I believe there was about 150 cars at the Colonnade Saturday. They did have it up at the Lakeview High School, or the middle school up there, I think, and I believe they've just kind of outgrown it and moved it down to the Colonnade. And it was, I think, Rebecca Davis Memorial fundraiser for St. Jude's Hospital. And most of these car shows, they go to a good cause. You know, it's not just a bunch of guys getting together and showing off their stuff. There's usually something going on behind the scenes. Like I say, somebody's raising money for some cause that is usually pretty good. If I'm not mistaken, this weekend they're going to be down at Walker County Civic Center. They'll have a huge car show down there. It's always a big thing on Labor Day. So if you're out this weekend, go down and see those people. They would appreciate you just walking around and, like I say, stop by and ask somebody about what you think about their car. Or you might have had one in school, or your uncle or somebody might have had one. We're going to take a break here, and when I come back, I'm going to have Troy Petco, and he is the Assistant Dean of Industrial Technology from Georgia Northwestern, because the other part of this show I like to promote is careers you can have and not have a college degree. You can come out a whole lot cheaper, and you'll have just as good a job, better than a lot of people that have a degree, because there's a lot of people out there that have a 4-year degree and a whole lot of student loan debt, and they can't find a job. We're going to take a break, and we'll come back and talk to Troy.
We're on the air 24/7, a North Georgia taste of heaven, a fun place to be. And we're your family, UCTV.
Are you wanting a new tub or shower, one that's easier to clean and looks nicer? Other companies are wanting to fit a shell over your old tub. Don't do that. Do it right with Holco Bath Solutions. We tear out your old tub, then install a brand new tub or shower, complete with new plumbing fixtures. Right now, get your new tub or shower system and pay 0% interest for 48 months.
Making life a little better. From home to Holco.
In 1964, local banking made its way to North Georgia with the opening of Capital Bank. Customers were thrilled to experience this new style of banking, where tellers greeted them by name and lenders worked hard to help individuals and small businesses achieve their goals. Over 50 years later, Capital Bank is still the one locally owned bank that you can depend on for that warm, pleasant hello and that friendly neighbor helping you to make your dreams come true. Capital Bank, still committed to our community. Member FDIC.
At the Rosewood Assisted Living and Memory Care, we have everything your senior could want in a safe, comfortable residence. Several levels of services include short-term housing for weekends or longer, assisted living where the staff provides a watchful eye while preserving your loved one's privacy and dignity, or independent living where residents are able to take care of themselves yet have access to all amenities and a sense of security. And the Rosewood on Battlefield Parkway specializes in memory care for patients of Alzheimer's or dementia. Call today for a tour of our campus.
Welcome back. We have Troy Petco here from Georgia Northwestern.
Thanks for having me.
And I appreciate you coming, because I can't talk here by myself for that long. It makes my life, it's all about me. It makes my life a whole lot easier. And you can verify there's no script. I'm just, running right at the mouth. That's what I do. He has brought a list of things they do, and you can't see this, all the stuff, but these are careers they have down at Georgia Northwestern that you can do in a year or less, correct?
Yep, there's a lot of programs that they can get you in about 6 months and get you a certificate of completion in certain ones, and a lot of programs will have you in the workforce in less than a year.
Sure. And he and I talked last week when we were setting this up. You are the automotive instructor, correct?
Yep, automotive instructor. Been doing it for 12 years now.
And he was saying that a lot of his students will go ahead and be employed someplace while they're, getting their certificate or diploma or whatever that they're getting in that field. They'll already be working in that field, and when they graduate, they'll get a bump in pay because, now they've got a piece of paper to go along with that.
Matter of fact, one of my students today just started the class and sent him out. And he's starting at Kia Chattanooga next week, I think.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, you don't start out at top pay there, but you start out, you'll make more than you would flipping burgers. You'll you can make a good living at this. Like I say, it's not as. I had to go to the doctor today, and I weighed in, and I weigh more now than I ever had. So I have obviously not missed any meals since I have been a mechanic. You know, it's like, oh my gosh, where did all this come from? My wife tells me I need to get in shape. I tell her round is a shape, so.
That's right.
Now, not all of these jobs are, like mechanics and welding and stuff like that. I see there's some accounting, business stuff here.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much if you name it, we've got it. We've got basic law enforcement, cosmetology, CNC machining, welding. We've got on some of the other campuses. I mean, we've got 6 campuses now. So
Where can you, off the top of your head, come up with all 6 of them? I don't want to put you on the spot because I'd be like,
I can either list them by county. Basically, we've got Floyd County, which is in Rome. We've got Catoosa County, which is off of Highway 151.
Yeah.
We've got Walker County, which is in Rock Spring. We have Whitfield Murray County, which is on the outskirts of Dalton, on the bypass. And then we have Polk County, which is Rockmart, and Gordon County, which is in Calhoun.
Sure.
So,
yeah. So
and some of the programs, we have some programs that are on almost every campus, and some like automotive, we're in Rock Spring and also in the Rome campus.
Okay. Now, I was just reading this one, green building
Technology. Basically, for your carpenter that's wanting to make sure that the homes of today, basically all the R value rating and everything, and as far as your electric bill for that, for those houses, teaching individuals how to build a house where their electric bill could be $75 a month instead of $175.
Sure, exactly. And that's the way we need to be looking. We need to be looking at ways to conserve our resources that we have. And I see we've got some health and nursing.
We've got the RN, LPN, nursing assisting. We've got dental assistant, dental hygiene. We got a little bit of everything.
Sure, yeah. And if you're into the computer stuff, I see web design, network specialist. After I got out of the Air Force, Troy and I were talking just a minute ago. I got out of the Air Force and back into the mechanic field, just kind of as the wave of computers was coming on the cars, and so I had probably a year left on my GI Bill before it went out, and I needed to get a degree in something. So I went ahead and got a degree in computer and electronics technologies. And I tell everybody, the first night we were in class, they brought us a box of parts and we had to put a PC together. And I am proud to say that me and the girl I was working with, our PC was the only one that fired up. I don't know why it just got that way, but yeah, it was the only one that worked that night. But I don't use that degree part per se in the computer repair field, but it has paid for itself so many times over and especially on cars today. And I'm sure you can elaborate on this. You've got an oxygen sensor that works on a 0.5 volt, and if you get some corrosion between one of the connections, you're going to have a car that runs terrible.
That's it. And actually the networks that cars now, I mean, there's cars that have 70 modules that will actually talk to each other.
Sure.
And if there's just the least bit of corrosion on it, to say, hey, it won't communicate.
And flood damaged cars, oh my gosh. If it's a flood damaged car, you're never going to get that thing to work right electronically again because of it's supposed to be a weather tight connector, but you're not going to be able to get it. And one of the best ways I have heard on telling if it's a flood damaged car is if you'll look up under the dash, because if it goes through a cleanup shop, very rarely will they ever clean up under the dash, and you'll see the water line or the trash there. And I thought, well, that is kind of a
well. I'm from New Orleans,
yeah.
So we did a lot of flood damaged cars.
Yeah.
And basically, actually, if you just pull the carpet out, the jute felt on the back of it, and if it looks like somebody cut it by hand and not a perfectly trimmed,
like a machine did it.
Yeah, and if it's got that Gorilla Glue looking yellow stuff on it, it's probably
been in
a flood car.
In some water, So I see, we've got auto collision repair too. Paint body men. That is a career that fascinates me. I had a guy, they had a dentless repair at a service station I was working at, and I sat there for hours and watched this guy. He had a hood that you couldn't go this far and not have a hail dent on it. And they made good money doing that, but he worked that hood for a day and a half and worked half the hood, and you could not tell that there had ever been anything wrong with that in the hood.
Well, and before that was basically in years past. I mean, they were replacing the hood, or tearing the skin off the ceiling of the roof of the car, and then going and attacking and welding and bonding and putting and everything. And now it's just amazing how and you get your car back faster too.
Oh yeah, and you don't have to worry about the paint not matching because they don't have to paint it. Like I say, these people body men in general, they can work magic. I can look at something and go, well, I think I can straighten that out. When I get done, I go, boy, I shouldn't even started that. It was it was bad. This 5-pound sledgehammer just ain't working like I thought it was. Let's see, we got marketing management too. So if you wanted to go into marketing, like I'm drawing a blank.
Well, we've had some students that actually had their own businesses and were looking to promote their company and learn different marketing strategies, how to get the word out about their company, and it benefited them so they can get more revenue for their business.
For their business, sure. And that was another thing we talked about last week. Most of the people that go in and have a degree will work for somebody. If you go through this, you will get the skills to work for yourself. You can go out and open your own garage. You can go out and open your own body shop.
Like cosmetology, they can open their own hair studio. I mean, that's most beauty shops in our area probably. Matter of fact, in Walker County, probably went to back when it was Walker Tech.
Walker Tech, exactly.
Before it was Georgia Northwestern.
Hold over my heart.
But yeah, it's definitely an opportunity. I've had students that have opened their own shops, and repair shops, or they just make some extra money working on the side. So there's great opportunities. Welding, we've had students that have opened their own welding shops. The same thing with CNC machining. Basically, a lot there. There's a lot of demand for that, and people go out and buy them after they work for a while, buy them a couple pieces of equipment, and next thing you know, they're doing work for Gas Stomp and TVA and all these things, and getting contracts with them and making
good money. Not we got a phone caller calling in. Let me grab this. We've got new phones, so if I mess this up, well, I guess they went away. Well, let's see. Yep, they went away. Wasn't quick enough on the button. Dang it. But yeah, you can run your own business, and there's a lot of people in town, that I have met even just doing this show for, I think this is my 3rd week on. Let's grab this one quick before they go. Hello, caller.
Hello, the car doctor.
Yes, sir.
I seen a car lot today on 3 North Road. It said car doctor. That's you?
That would not be me. I work for the city of Collegedale, so I do not have a car lot, but and it may look like at my house because, like I say, I've got a couple of projects sitting there that me and my wife are working on, but no, I do not own a car lot.
Oh, okay. Well, I've got a 97 Chevrolet with a Vortex 350, 5.7.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, got that blown head gasket. Fixed that, and it's already blown up. Is that motor worth rebuilding?
Well, most of the time it's not a blown head gasket. Most of the time it's going to be a cracked head.
Well, I don't think I have a cracked head, but that's a good motor.
Sure, I mean, they've been making the small block Chevy since, 1956, 57?
Oh, yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
Well, can you put these heads on a short block?
Yeah. If you get another short block, yeah. I would have them pressure tested.
Still has electronic ignition where you hook up the computer and all that?
Sure. I mean, the biggest difference, I think, is probably the fuel pump between the earlier and later model stuff. The earlier stuff had a fuel pump that mounted on the side of the engine, and the later model stuff, they didn't even make a hole for that. I mean, you can still.
I've got the fuel pump and everything in my fuel tank and all that.
Sure, yeah. I mean, you can make them work. They've got block off plates if you have an older one, but like I say, the newer stuff.
No, I just think can you order a short block?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and just use a regular 350 short block.
Sure. Yeah. That's not a problem at all.
And use the heads that I got if they're not cracked.
If they're not cracked, sure.
Right, and use my intake and use my throttle. I mean, not my throttle body, but my electronic ignition and all that.
Yeah. I mean, all that stuff swaps over.
Really?
I have done it before. Yeah.
It works all right.
Yeah.
Chevy's the best engine to be able to swap.
That's right. Yeah, Chevrolet had it together. I believe on the Vortec, I think the head angle is a little different on the intake side. But if you're going to run those heads, you shouldn't have any problems.
Yeah, as long as my heads don't have any cracks.
Yeah, and if they do, most of the time they've got a set they can swap out with you.
Yeah.
And you'll be motoring down the road again.
Oh, well, good deal. Are you interested in tackling this job?
No, I'm telling you, I've got projects at my house, and we're buying
I ain't ready right now.
Well, I see myself being busy for the next year, so we're building stuff.
But I appreciate your advice.
Hey, thank you for calling, brother.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with a Chevy.
No.
I mean, 5.7 liter.
And the new LS motors, that's the big thing now. You can buy a complete LS motor with a computer and harness for about $1,000.
My brother has a 1970 Nova sitting in his garage with one ready to put in it.
Sure.
When he gets all the body work done.
Yeah, yeah. The guy I work with got a '66 Super Sport Nova Chevy 2 that he's has got put together, and that's what's going to go in it. Like I say, they're just it's the modern small block Chevrolet. They like I say, it's a good clean swap. They make
really good horsepower.
Really good. Yeah, you can get a stock bottom end, and I've heard they're good for 700 or 800 horsepower, and I've heard of people putting 1,000 horsepower with turbos and stuff, and it holding together for a while, not forever. But the thing about those are, and you can talk about this some too. When I was growing up, I had a 70 model Dart 340 Swinger, and I tore it down when I was at Walker Tech and redid the engine and everything in it. And I looked at what I was going to do with it. It was just going to be a driver, not anything. So the cam I put in it came in about 1,800 RPMs and went out about 55 or 6,000 RPMs. And but nowadays, and that car was streetable, but I had friends that overdid it, and it's easy to do. But nowadays, you can have a car that puts out a whole lot more horsepower than that, with air conditioning and all the stuff on it, and be very streetable. It's not crazy. And this was one of the things I heard a guy talking a few years ago. He goes, well, I've got a late model fuel injected something, and he goes, if I put a new cam in it, I'm looking at spending $300 or $400. And I go, if you'll just put a programmer on it, you'll spend $200 or $300, and you don't have to tear anything down.
It's. I mean, and some people, are scared of fuel injection because of that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the aftermarket's made a lot of products that are very simple.
They do.
And usually if you buy from the right companies, their tech support is going to help you out.
Is wonderful.
Kind of tell them what you got, and they'll pretty much, walk you through everything.
Yeah. And I tell you, YouTube. I've got a PhD in YouTube. I can do. That's where I got my PhD from. We'll run into stuff at work, and it's oddball stuff, and you YouTube it, and somebody has run across it, and their way may not be the best way, but at least you point in the direction to go.
I don't like giving out trade secrets, but I don't mind. But it's just funny how so many times I've run across something I've never seen before, and I just never think to take the time to film it or talk about it. So thank goodness there are people out there that are willing to spend that extra time.
In your field, did you ever use IATN?
Yeah, a little bit.
I have used it a lot when I was out, and I can tell you one of the best ones that I ever did. I had a Jeep, like probably a mid to late 90s Cherokee, and it would set a code for maybe a speed sensor, an O2 sensor or something. And I went on this IATN, and it's a paid-for website that you go to, but it has mechanics all over the world. And if you run across a problem, you put it on there, and you know, people. But anyway, I typed it in, and they go, if you'll check on the cross member, right above where the drive shaft goes over, there'll be a little spot in the wire. And I'll be danged if it wasn't exactly right. I mean, right exactly where the guy said, you know. And that's some of the trade secrets that you learn, you know, being out in this field.
And I share everything with my students.
Sure.
Just like I said, I just don't spend the time to put it on YouTube.
Exactly.
To find something neat.
Yeah.
You know, it's just,
Now your students, you teach the automotive class. How does if can they sign up anytime and come in to your class, or is there a start time?
Well, basically, we have a start time in the fall, which we just started.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, August 20th was the first day for students. Got 15 new students, and then we will take new students in January for spring, what they call spring term, even though it's winter. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
they call it spring term, and we can they'll start in the evening at that point, and then once they do the spring, then they'll roll right into the day. It's mostly a daytime program.
Yeah.
You know,
I was going to ask, do y'all have night classes?
Yeah, I do teach a couple classes at night because it's just automatic transmissions. Most of my students will go take the first year during the day, and then they'll be in a shop, and they'll usually be entry-level technicians doing water pumps, brakes, and that. You know, one of my students actually yesterday showed me a picture. He's already got an engine transmission out of a Hyundai. He's at a Hyundai dealership. And, and so, you know, they go right into it. And then for him, he's coming back at night taking automatic transmission because, of course, you know, probably
if I was going to...
Most manufacturers don't touch automatic transmission.
Exactly. If I was going to recommend for somebody getting into it, I would tell them, learn how to build a transmission, learn how to build an automatic transmission, because I have worked at some transmission shops, and the builders, most of the time they're in an air-conditioned room. They bring them a unit, you know, that's already cleaned up, and they'll, you know.
Yeah, I had in my garage back in Louisiana, I had I would build 4R100s for towing truck companies, and a couple hours make $400. Sure. And they were happy because.
Oh yeah, because.
they were saving a lot of money.
I can tell you, that some of we had one built in a Charger. We had a torque converter go bad in one of the police cars at Collegedale, and I believe it was $2,800, you know, for us to have the transmission built in this thing. So, you know, if you could do it for that, and there again, that's been a few years ago, but still, you know.
And there's some transmission shops out there that specialize on the Asians, like Hondas and your Toyotas, and they don't build them at the dealership, so the only place to go is the aftermarket. That's why some of those transmission shops just specialize in just transmission, because they don't have to worry about all the other stuff. They can focus on one thing.
Sure, yeah. And as I say, I know some transmission builders that have made an excellent living, and like I say, that's all they do is build automatic transmissions all day long. You know, they don't have to pull them. You know, they got guys that pull them, and like I say, they just.
Yeah, I was never that for it. Well, I mean, I had that one little gig, but I was always the guy pulling it, rebuilding
that's right. Yeah.
Ordering the parts and everything. And, but it paid very well. It kind of launched my career right there in the beginning, real quick.
So now, do y'all have a structured? You know, the first semester you do.
So if somebody started like this term, they would start with intro, which is basically changing oil, using how to use, learning how to use a tire changer. All the safety procedures, using lifts, because a lot of people have never had that luxury. And then we go on in electrical, because of course it's in everything now.
Yes.
So they have to basically learn how to read wiring diagrams, use voltmeters, oscilloscopes, scan tools. And then we go into brakes, engine repair, engine performance, air conditioning, steering and suspension, and then transmission. Sometimes students will come day and night and kind of finish up. Actually, I had a student in a year and 3 months was able to get his associate's degree in applied science. Take all the automotive classes, all his gen ed stuff, and then went to work. So started out $17 an hour at Lexus in Atlanta. He wanted to move to Atlanta, had some friends and stuff, and went right on in.
And you saying he wanted to move to Atlanta, that is one thing about this career field. You can go anywhere. You know, if you don't like where you're at.
Pretty much everything on this list that we offer at the college. I mean, like I said, welders, all over the world.
That's right. And I can tell you, guys that dive and weld.
Yeah.
Now you want to talk about big money? Those boys.
Yeah. Well, I did that a little. I didn't do the underwater welding, but I did do I was a commercial diver for a short period of time. And it's pretty. It's it ain't quite like Deadliest Catch, but
it's close.
There's a lot of people that have some serious lifelong injuries, and that's kind of what scared me.
Yeah, it's like you know what? I think I'll go home tonight and I'll just stay there.
Yeah. It was kind of like that. So when you in 200 feet of water and something goes wrong, it's not.
It goes wrong bad. It's a
little bit different than cutting your finger and being able to go to somebody stitch
put a boo-boo on it and go. We can sew that tip back on. It'll be okay.
You cut your finger off, you become bacon.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Ooh, yeah.
So, well, one of the things I wanted to talk about too is just the cost.
Yeah, I'm glad somebody's on track here. I'm the squirrel. Go.
I mean, basically, like for instance, right now we've got the governor basically came and said they were going to do a thing where they give an additional $500 per semester for a program that's in high demand. Okay, and we've got Hope Scholarship and Hope Grant, so they called it a Hope Career Grant on this one. So basically, like my students this semester, that without any federal funds, but if they came in and they were a Georgia resident, it cost them $71 this semester, and that was like books and everything. Not books, I'm sorry. Fees and everything. And then so then they had to buy the textbooks, and of course, if students receive federal funds, they get that money on top of that.
Sure.
So I mean, it's extremely affordable. If they're not one of the Career Initiative Grant programs, they're looking at having to spend about $400 a semester. But again, still, when you look at a 2-year program, maybe costing somewhere in the neighborhood around $7,000.
Exactly.
And yet the first year in your occupation, you're making $30,000.
Yeah.
And as you grow, of course, it grows.
It gets bigger,
yeah. And very, very seldom do our students actually do student loans. I mean, it's rare.
Yeah.
I've actually had students that do a student loan to buy tools.
Yeah.
they just love tools, and they're like, oh, I can do
this.
Get a student loan and buy a bunch of tools.
Yeah, I need this for my school. Yeah.
So they end up with using that. So there's a lot of opportunities, and the cost. I mean, it's just phenomenal. Like
Sure.
To me, if certain people are 4-year meant to go to a 4-year college. That's what they want to do, and there's careers there as well. But honestly, for somebody who's maybe not worried about sitting there going through a psychology class and art appreciation, they can come and do one of our diploma or certificate programs and be in and out in no time and be in the workforce. Like I said, I've got students every year, 18 years old up to usually in the 50s. Yeah. Sometimes older than that.
I was 46 last time I went to school.
Yeah, and basically, it's amazing that within a few months they've changed their career and they're in a new occupation. So it's
now y'all have a website.
Yep. Basically, you can go to anywhere and just type in GNTC on any Google, but basically www.gntc.edu is our college. We've got all kinds of information, all the different programs, all the different places you can go for aid. I mean, it's just there's a wealth of information.
And if they get hold of the guidance counselors there, they will.
And basically, if you go down to any one of the programs that you're interested in, and you thumb down into that program or that major, they'll usually have a link for the email and also the phone number for that instructor for that program. And so it's not like a major university. You're not going to call and talk to somebody. Most likely, you're going to talk to the person that's teaching the class.
Yeah.
Like, so if somebody looks at automotive, they're going to call me.
They'll call you.
Yeah, they're going to talk to me. And if they mention automotive, they're going to, and they just get the front number, they'll probably forward them to me.
Well, that's how I got hold of you. I said, I'm talking about, and they gave me your number.
And that's what all the programs, I mean, the people that teach the programs, we care about it. We're passionate about what we do. Everybody there is very passionate about their programs, and they know how successful they were able to become because of their knowledge in this type of field. And, they just want to, I guess, share the wealth, I guess, and spread their knowledge with everybody.
And that's a good way to be. I appreciate you coming. We're going to see some pictures of people's projects in motion real quick. This is Chris Lowe. This would be the car that Brandon rode around for 2,000 miles in. That would be his dad's car, and I believe he may have another picture of another project No, this is a friend of mine, Jimmy Marr. This is his project in motion. I feel sorry for him, let me assure you.
You got to do work so you can go to work.
That's right, yeah. He's a lawyer by trade, but he just does this for fun. And this is Paul Roddy, I believe is his name, his truck that he's working on. So we have a few people that are and that is what you've got to do this week to win the $25 AutoZone gift certificate is go to Motorin with the Doc on the Facebook page and post a picture of whatever you're working on. And everybody that is in the draw or has that on there, I will pick one person to win the $25 gift certificate. Thank you again for coming. It has been fun.
Appreciate it.
And we'll do this again. Thank y'all for coming. We'll see y'all next week.